Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on The Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on The Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. I want to introduce you tonight to a unbelievable young lady who's a very successful singer, performer, dancer, yoga teacher. She seems to do it all. She's going to tell us a little bit about her career, and I wanted her to come because her career is inspirational. That she started out dancing in Mississauga at Canadian Dance Company with Alan Lupien and Don Lupien and that gang, and she's now danced in Stratford and performed in Stratford and downtown the Winter Garden around the world. And so it's inspirational how you can start out as a local artist and end up being incredibly successful. And let me just tell you a little bit about Julia Juhas, who is our guest tonight. She's a professional film, TV, and theater actor, singer, dancer, embodied mindful movement coach. We'll have to ask her what that is, and certified yoga teacher. For over 20 years, she's been performing. I think she only looks 20, but for 20 years, she's been performing alongside, get this list, some of North America's finest: Hilary Swank, John Travolta, Louise Petrie, Sean Cullen, Michael Thoreau, to name just a few. And we're going to have to ask her to do this later. She sang the song Memory in front of Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber himself on the Paladin stage in London, England. What an incredible repertoire. And you were a graduate of Sheridan College, yes. Music theater program, and you were Cawthron Park as well?
Yes.
And Canadian Dance Company?
Yes.
And then Stratford?
Yeah.
And Winter Garden Theatre?
Yeah.
Tell me about some of your performances.
Sorry?
Tell me about some of your performances.
Well, right out of college, out of Sheridan, I went to do The Producers. It was the Canadian premiere here in Toronto.
I love that.
Oh man, it was probably to this day.
I don't think I've ever seen it live in theater. I've only seen the movie.
Oh, you have to see it live. It is, to this day, probably one of my most favorite shows I've done. It's just a good time. Mm-hmm. So funny, and anything goes in that show. It's great. And then I went on to do some Stage West. That was here in Mississauga.
Right. Yeah.
And went on to do
and
Stratford.
Doing what, singing and dancing?
Yeah, whole lot of singing and dancing. I did a chorus line there, and I did Tommy at Stratford.
Oh, really?
Fiddler.
Tommy?
Yeah, that and The Producers are probably two of my all-time.
What's it like? You have to live at Stratford for almost a year when you're doing a play there, don't you?
Yeah, it's about a 9-month contract.
What's that like?
It's pretty wild, and can be can be a lot at times. I remember when I first went, it was very overwhelming because it's a rep company, mm-hmm. and at that time I had never done rep before. So what that means is basically
explain to people what a rep company is.
So basically, a rep company is you're doing multiple shows in one season and rehearsing multiple shows at one time, and performing multiple shows. So a matinee would be, let's say matinee, I would do Tommy, and an evening show would be Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and some people do 3 shows.
Who were you in Fiddler on the Roof?
I was actually a swing, and that was the first time I had ever swung as well.
What is a swing?
A swing is someone who covers all the ensemble.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
anyone that's missing.
Yeah, exactly. So so a lot of times the ensemble will cover a lead, and so they will go on for the lead, and if they go on, they need someone to jump in to fill their role.
Right.
So when I was at Stratford, I actually
I would have thought you would have been the second daughter.
Oh my goodness, you're too kind. I think I was too old. But I love that you said I only look 20. I'll take it. But I didn't even understudy any of the daughters. They were much younger than me.
Oh, okay.
I understudied the women.
But the second daughter goes off with the professor.
Yes, but she is much younger.
Oh, okay. I thought she was
it's 19, back in the
20.
day,
okay,
how it is.
That would have been so much fun. And then you did a bunch at the Winter Garden with what's his name?
Petty.
Ross Petty.
Yeah, and those are probably the most outrageous, fun, shows to do, but not only the show, the rehearsal process is like, I mean, you have like a 10-pack after rehearsing that show because you're laughing constantly, and the show is, even till like opening night, even after opening night, sometimes things aren't exactly what are planned, because it's a very loose in terms of improv.
Right.
Like the leads improv a lot, and things happen, and they just go with it, you know.
So you started out as a teenager, maybe even before being a teenager, dancing. And then you went to Cawthra Park, and then into music theater at Sheridan.
Yeah.
When did you decide that you wanted to do this as a career forever?
Well, I know that dancing was my all-time go-to. That's what I wanted to do. And then when I started watching those, you know, musical movies, Grease and even Fame, the TV show, I was like, I want to do that. I want to sing and dance in movies. And then when I had the opportunity to go to Cawthra is when I learned more about music theater.
Right.
Like watching the musical movies, I didn't understand music theater. And so when I went to Cawthra, I understood music theater, singing, dancing, acting, all together on stage. And then from there, I was inspired to audition for Sheridan College for their music theater performance program. And I got in pretty much on the spot, which I was like floored.
Excellent.
Yeah, I hadn't really sung, I hadn't really acted. I just was like straight dancer, competitive dancer. And so I went into a class where there were very strong singer and actors, and aspired to do that and have a career once I was in school, and really diving into the training, and then continued training after. And when I think it was after first year, I auditioned for West Side Story, and I booked Anita in West Side Story.
Awesome.
Yeah, and a featured vocalist in a swing show, so there was only 6 of us, so three women, 3 men. And we had some pretty tight harmonies, and I didn't really have a ton of music training, like vocal training.
Right.
And I was terrified. I was like, how am I going to, first of all, play this character and then sing in this show as a featured vocalist? And I just, you know, much of like many things that I do, I'm like thrust into it. And I did it, and it was a blast. And yeah, I had a lot of insecurities, and you know, it was.
So tonight, there might be a bunch of teenage girls that are going to Canadian Dance Company or Sean Boutelier or whatever else,
Joanne Chapman.
And they're looking at you tonight.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, I want to be a dancer, I want to be a singer, I'd like to give it a shot. What would you say to them?
I'd say start by taking some singing lessons. Continue your dance training, because that is going to be gold for you to get in, because a lot of times dancers get into shows because they're the ones who are mostly an ensemble.
Right.
So if you can, I encourage them to take some singing lessons, vocal lessons, to build their vocal strength, build their repertoire, and it'll give them a leg up. And
would you tell them to give up or go for it?
No. If you want to do it, my goodness, go. You got to keep going. You know, actually, I saw you posted a quote by Sylvester Stallone on your Facebook a few days ago, and I was having a day. And you know, we all have days. Artists always have, not always, I shouldn't say always, but we do have days where, you know, things are challenging and you want to give up, and you're like, what's the point? What am I doing? Like, I don't feel like I'm living my full passion in this moment. Like, as an artist, for me, I feel like I just need to be doing it every day, every second of the day. So I was having a day where I was, you know, feeling like, oh my goodness.
And you read my
post? I read that post.
I'm very honored.
And it was so inspiring, and it kind of jolted me out of that negative loop, and, you know, kind of put me right back into the space of keep going. And exactly, life's going to hit you hard, but it's not about out there. And if you want to change that, you gotta.
And I think the line was, life's going to hit you hard, but you got to learn to hit back harder.
Exactly, hit back.
Julia Juhas, unbelievable performer. We're going to take a break and come back more, and we're going to, I think, put her on the spot.
No,
and ask
what?
her to sing
Time
something
out.
from Memories. Andrew Lloyd. Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on The Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on The Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Welcome back to The Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. A real pleasure of mine tonight to be here with Julia Juhas, who is an unbelievably interesting young lady, performer, dancer. She's been in music theater. She's been in shows at Stratford, Winter Garden, and you performed Memories for Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber. Seriously.
Yes, I did.
In the big theater in London.
In the Palladium
Why did
Theatre.
you have that opportunity? Why were you chosen?
I was competing in the reality show How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they were looking for the Maria for the Toronto production.
Right.
And I wanted an audition, so I emailed my agent. I'm like, how do I get an audition? She said, you have to be a part of this show. You have to audition for the reality show. And I was like, oh man. So I did it, and it was a challenge, but a lot of fun. And I got to the top 20, and so the top 20 went to London, and we had this whole show to perform in front of Andrew Lloyd Webber and his friends at the Palladium stage or theater, and then from there 10 of us got sent home. But I was very proud of myself for
What an
for doing
incredible
that.
opportunity. So, put you on the spot. Will you sing it for us? One verse. One verse, please.
It's been so long. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the lyrics on my
Okay.
phone because
It's such a great song.
It is a
it's
beautiful
just
song.
It's from Cats, right? And
I've actually done
it's
that.
the old cat that
Yes.
What's her name?
Grisabella.
Grisabella, and she talks about being young and how she's got memories of being young.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful song. I love it.
It is a stunning song. I actually did a production of Cats.
Oh, really? And who were you?
I was
Grisabella?
Cassandra.
Cassandra. Now that fits you.
Oh,
The Siamese
the
cat.
Siamese, snooty cat, which was a lot of fun.
I can imagine.
Okay, let's see if I can remember how this goes.
Julia Juhas singing Memories from Cats.
Midnight, not a sound from the pavement. Has the moon lost her memory? She is smiling alone. In the lamplight, the withered leaves collect at my feet, and the wind begins to moan. I think I picked a key that was so low. Midnight, not a sound from the pavement. Has the moon lost her memory? She is smiling alone. In the lamplight, the withered leaves collect at my feet, and the wind begins to moan.
Beautiful. Thank you so
thank you.
much. That
you
has
change
got to
the
be
key
one of
there.
my favorite songs. Now, you sing music theater, but you also sing jazz, I understand.
Yeah, every now and then.
Yeah?
Yeah, I used to, both my brothers are jazz musicians, and so sometimes when they were playing, I would pop on at the Rex or just do my own little...
And what would be one of your favorite jazz songs? I won't ask you to sing it.
I was
Just
like,
tell
oh
me.
my goodness. No, it's fine. What's the one that I always sang and I loved? I haven't sung...
Is there a jazz performer that you like to imitate or that you
I love
think...
Dinah Washington.
Dinah Washington, okay.
I love her. Ella Fitzgerald,
Yep,
obviously.
okay.
Billie Holiday.
And
Yeah, God Bless the Child is more of the bluesy feel, but I do love singing that song.
you sing pop. And
yeah.
the song you sang for me before, Rise Up, I
Yeah,
would describe
it's
as a
more
pop song. And
pop
it's,
song,
it's
yeah.
an inspirational song. Do you
Yeah.
look for inspiration in what you pick, or
I do.
love, or what?
I do. I think it's what I'm feeling or what I'm looking for specifically in that time of my life or that day, just my mood. You know, if I'm needing the inspiration or looking for that, I will find a song with that. If I'm feeling, you know, a bit lonely, I'll look for a love song. Or need a little pick-me-up, I'll just go to a straight, fun, good tune. Like Tina Turner, the other one I love singing, Simply the Best.
Simply the Best.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's just a
But
good.
you're also into movement. And you've got some program about movement, but tell us about
Yeah,
that.
so I have a company called Live With Ease, and it's mindful movement modalities. Well,
What is
yoga,
mindful movement?
Mindful movement, so it's yoga inspired. So the type of movement or yoga that I teach is not what you would expect to see in like Yoga Journal or in the mainstream. It's a bit more intuitive. It's more of a somatic, a felt experience.
What's somatic?
So it's like a felt experience, really feeling and sensing your way through movement. It's slow, it's gentle, it's explorative, and it's all about discovering the unique language of your body and discovering different ways your body moves.
So you're
There's
like
a lot of-
flowing around when you're doing yoga?
Yeah, sometimes it's very still, like it's almost like there's barely
movement.
any movement. The movement's so subtle. And so what this does is it taps into the nervous system and massages the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the relaxation response. So the sympathetic is the fight or flight, where we live a lot in our world. So the idea is to try to massage that parasympathetic nervous system. So this is just a practice in that, and sometimes that just, it brings up other, it brings up emotions, other maybe issues you didn't know, or tensions.
And you
so
do this in a studio somewhere, or
I do it in a
online, or
studio.
what?
Yeah, I've been doing it online during the pandemic, but I do it in studio, and I also teach privately. Like I will go to people's homes, and I work with people who have chronic pain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, someone who has overcome an autoimmune disease, spinal autoimmune disease, which was terrifying as a dancer.
You had? Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
When
something
was
called-
this?
This was in my late 20s. I was in the middle of a show, and I was having excruciating pain, and they thought it was sciatica, and so like, take the Advils, you know, and I refused to accept that. So I did all these tests and saw many different specialists and rheumatologists, and they diagnosed me with ankylosing spondylitis, which is an inflammatory disease of the spine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so eventually over time, your spinal vertebrae fuse, and then
Yeah.
you lose movement completely.
Which would be
And
not-
I was like mortified. I was
can
like, there's
imagine.
no way this is happening to me. So I eventually came across this type of movement, and it just changed my approach to how I move, like, because I was very aggressive in my style of
Yep.
yoga and movement, and go hard, go hard. And so I had to kind of flip the switch, and it totally brought me to my nervous system and dealt with mindset and all that stuff. And I was diagnosed, my late 20s, and it's been probably 8 years now. I haven't had a flare-up, or I don't even consider myself someone who suffers from it, because I just...
So the pandemic must have been really tough on people like you. All the live entertainment was closed down, dancing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What'd you do? How'd you survive?
Well, teaching this was a big part of it, and also creating Live With Ease, the company that I now have. I used to teach I still do through a studio, but mainly taught through a studio and through another company. That's how I was getting my private clients. So then during the pandemic, I decided to create my own. And so I was inspired by this name, Live With Ease, because it was who I was. I was someone, I considered myself someone who was very much living with ease, super chill, everything's great, don't worry so much, don't worry, be happy, like, what's his name?
Darren
Yes, oh my gosh, I can't remember his
Hamill
name.
or something like that, right?
But,
Don't worry.
yeah, and so it's funny how the universe is testing me on that, in that brand, and holding me to it.
So if people want to call you and get access to that service or your classes, how do they do that?
They can go to my Instagram. I have a linked tree link in there in my bio, and usually I have all my series on there. You can sign up for I do a 20-minute consultation to see if we're a perfect fit for the one-on-one sessions. And
your Instagram is?
_live with ease _.
Live with ease _.
And then I also have a YouTube channel, Live with Ease, where I have several practices.
Awesome.
Movement practices.
And from a performance standpoint, when are we going to be able to see you on stage, on Broadway, on whatever?
Brian, I wish I could tell you. I don't know yet. I'm excited for what that next gig is going to be.
Yep.
I'm super stoked. I've been putting out a lot of the auditions, so hopefully something bites, and I can come back to it with some tickets to come see a show or
I'd love to come. I'd love to come. And so, bottom line, to the teenagers watching tonight,
yes,
that are dreaming of being a performer, and you've had some good times and you've had some struggles, it sounds like. What's your message to them?
I always say this, just don't give up, and you keep going, and you got to go through the thick of it. You know, there are going to be times where there are going to be challenges and roadblocks, and it's going to feel sticky and messy, and you'll want to give up. But if it's truly, if you don't see yourself doing anything else, and that's truly what you want to do, you know, you gotta keep going and go through that sticky part, but work on the mindset, work on finding things that inspire you and encourage you to keep going.
Julia Juhas, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
So you heard it from her.
Me.
Stick to it.
Stick to it.
Stick to it. And find the mindfulness and the encouragement that gets you through. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Good night, everybody.
The biggest thing I'm very concerned about now is the amount of debt Canada has been taken on. My parents are originally from Pakistan, and that country basically went through the exact same process. Like, they caught themselves in a debt trap. We need to bring the books back in order. And I don't see that happening today. All I see is reckless spending. It needs to be backed by a plan. And that's called fiscal responsibility. And that's why Conservatives form the next government.
I'm Rob Oliphant, Member of Parliament and Liberal candidate for Don Valley West. Canadians have been resilient in the face of COVID-19, and they deserve a plan that will create jobs, improve our healthcare system, and build a better path forward. On September 20th, I'm asking for your support so we can finish the fight against COVID-19 and build back a better Canada that leaves no one behind. Let's keep moving Don Valley West and Canada forward for everyone. Vote for Rob Oliphant on September 20th.
Hi, I'm Salma Zahid, and I'm running for re-election as the Liberal Party of Canada candidate in Scarborough Centre. Only the Liberals have a plan for $10 per day childcare, national standards to protect our seniors in long-term care, and to make it cheaper to buy a home. We will create a new visa so families awaiting spousal sponsorships can be together sooner. And we will fight online hate. On September 20th, vote Liberal so we can move our community forward for everyone.
Canada's Conservatives will secure the future for Milton. From Milton's small business and entrepreneurial sector to manufacturing, our plan will get Milton's economy back on track. We will restore accountability and trust in government, address the mental health epidemic, ensure we're ready for the next health crisis, and get Canada's fiscal house in order. I'm thrilled to work with your Conservative candidate, Nadeem Akbar. Nadeem has 17 years of experience as an IT professional. He's passionate about giving back to the community. Now he's ready to be your next Member of Parliament. Nadeem is ready to serve the people of Milton.
Hello Milton, my name is Nadeem Akbar. I'm your Conservative candidate. To connect with me, check out my website, nadeemakbar.ca.
This past year, we've learned what really matters in our lives. And what government does or doesn't do also matters. We've seen bad choices with devastating consequences. Imagine instead a premier that chooses you, who protects workers, who stands up for local businesses, not big box stores, who instead of cutting, invests in healthcare and our kids. That's what matters to me.
शुरू अल्लाह के नाम से जो बड़ा मेहरबान निहायत रहम वाला है। इस्लाम का माजी बहुत ही शानदार और कामयाब रहा है, लेकिन आज मुसलमानों का क्या हाल है? तालीम, इजादात और साइंस में सबसे पीछे, गुर्बत के मारे, खेलों की दुनिया में सबसे आखिरी सफ में, बेहिसी का यह आलम है कि ज़्यादातर मुहाजिरीन मुसलमान हैं और मुसलमान मुल्कों के ही दरवाजे उन पर बंद हैं। जब भी हम कामयाब ममालिक की तरफ देखते हैं तो हमें एक ही फर्क नजर आता है, अखलाकियात का। अफसोस, झूठ बोलना, वादा तोड़ना, कमजोर पे जुल्म करना, यह हमारे माशरे में बुरा नहीं समझा जाता। अब इसका क्या हल है? हमें क्या करना चाहिए? अल्लाह का बड़ा शुक्र है कि आज भी हमारी मस्जिदें भरी हुई होती हैं। लोगों का अल्लाह पर कामिल यकीन है। क्या ही अच्छा होता अगर हमारे कायदीन भी कामयाबी से जीने का सबक देते, क्योंकि हमारी सारी नमाजें अरबी में होती है और ज्यादातर लोगों को ये पता ही नहीं कि वो क्या पढ़ रहे हैं। मुहर्रम आने ही वाला है, नए इस्लामी साल का आगाज हो रहा है। क्या ही अच्छा हो इस मुकद्दस और बाबरकत महीने में तमाम कायदे इस्लाम और उसके मानने वाले सिर्फ और सिर्फ इसी मैसेज पर जोर दें कि मुसलमानों के अखलाक की कैसे तामीर की जाए और उनके किरदार मजबूत हों। सबसे पहले मुसलमानों में भाईचारा, इत्तेफाक व इत्तेहाद पर जोर दिया जाए। उन्हें बताया जाए कि हम एक अल्लाह, एक रसूल और एक कुरान के मानने वाले हैं और इसी मुकद्दस बंधन में बंधे हुए हैं। हम में कोई फर्क नहीं है। सच बोलना ही हमारे रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की खूबियों में से एक खूबी थी, इसीलिए आपको सादिक कहा जाता था। सच बोलना हमारी जिंदगी की बुनियाद होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि सच बोलने से ही आपकी जिंदगी खुशगवार और कामयाब बन सकती है। लोगों को वादा निभाने की बरकत से आगाह करना चाहिए और खासकर ऐसे वादे जिसमें आपका नुकसान हो रहा हो, ऐसा वादा तो जरूर पूरा करना चाहिए, क्योंकि इससे आप पे अल्लाह मियां की रहमतें उतरती है और लोगों में आपकी इज्जत और आपका ट्रस्ट बढ़ता है। ख़वातीन के हकूक़ और इज्जत की तालीम दी जाए। इस्लाम पहला मजहब है जिसने औरतों को जायदाद में हकूक़ दिलवाए। ऐसे कवानीन बनाए जाएं जिससे औरतों को पूरा तहफ़्फ़ुज़ और प्रोटेक्शन मिले, ताकि वो अपनी ज़िंदगी पूरी तरह जिए जैसे कामयाब ममालिक में होता है। रुश्वतखोरी और टैक्स पे बात होनी चाहिए। जिस माशरे में रुश्वतखोरी होती है वो माशरा मुकम्मल तौर पर तबाह हो जाता है। अगर आप चीन की मिसाल लेते हैं, चीन सिर्फ तरक्की कर रहा था, लेकिन जिस दिन उन्होंने रुश्वतखोरी के खिलाफ एक्शन लिया, आज चीन सुपर पावर बन गया है। हमें ईमानदारी से टैक्स अदा करना चाहिए। टैक्स अमीर को अमीर कर देता है और गरीब की गरीबी ख़त्म कर देता है। अगर आप अमेरिका की मिसाल लेते हैं तो उन्होंने कोविड-19 पे 2 से 3 ट्रिलियन डॉलर खर्च किए, क्योंकि उनके पास टैक्स के पैसे थे, और पाकिस्तान ने सिर्फ 2 बिलियन डॉलर खर्च किए। अदल और इंसाफ हर माशरे की बुनियाद होना चाहिए। वो माशरा कभी भी कामयाब नहीं हो सकता जहाँ अमीर और गरीब को यकसा इंसाफ न मिले। हजरत अली ने फरमाया, कुफर का निज़ाम चल सकता है, लेकिन वो माशरा नहीं चलेगा जहाँ इंसाफ न हो। मेरिट हर कामयाब माशरे के लिए ज़रूरी है। तमाम अपॉइंटमेंट मेरिट पे होने चाहिए। इसकी मिसाल हमारी फौज है, जो इतने कम बजट में इतने बड़े बड़े काम इतनी कामयाबी से कर रही है। किसी भी माशरे के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि वहाँ के लोग हलाल की रोज़ी कमाएं। जब आप हलाल की रोज़ी घर पर लेके जाते हैं तो ये आपकी आइंदा आने वाली पुश्तों के लिए होती है। आपके बच्चे जब हलाल की रोज़ी खाएंगे तो आप यकीन रखें कि वो कामयाब होंगे और आपके माशरे को भी कामयाब करेंगे। अब तक मैंने जितनी भी बातें कही हैं उसका खुलासा 3 हरूफ में है। अम्मा, अलिफ से ईमानदारी, मीम से मेहनत और अलिफ से इंसानियत। جو میری والدہ نے مجھے سکھائے. میں سمجھتا ہوں کوئی بھی قوم اگر ایمانداری، محنت اور انسانیت سے اپنے سارے فیصلے کرے گی، اسے ترقی سے کوئی بھی نہیں روک سکتا.